personally because I was able to realize, even we're talking about paranormal, that doesn't mean everybody knows what everyone is, even though we think that everyone knows what the show is, what the shows are. And that's what I think is really interesting about today's guest, because and if those of who have been following me and listening to the show and follow what I do in the paranormal, the one thing I always tell you, remember, is that paranormal is not scary. Paranormal is beautiful. And I've been saying this for years. And it's just like people who don't know who Nick Roth was. You also have people who watch the shows, and all they do is they think that paranormal is what you see on the shows. And we're going to have a conversation about that today. Kadrick Olson is an author, speaker, teacher, and he says he's a paranormal expert with over 30 years of experience guiding people through their supernatural and spiritual concerns. His specialties include paranormal arts training, shadow work, runes, and Norse mysticism. From early childhood and throughout his life, Kadrick Olson has led a paranormal life, living in a haunted house full of spirits, taught him how to connect with the spiritual realms. Growing up attending a spiritualist church, he learned that the art of seance and channeling. His lifetime connection with advanced beings called the Whisperers gave him a keen awareness of the landscape of the afterlife and excuse me, knowledge of how to work with various entities. Kadrick is also regarded as a spiritual leader in the Norse pagan communities, leading rituals, teaching classes, and offering spiritual guidance through the challenges of life. Kadrick, welcome to Ghostbox Radio.
Hey, thank you. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me on.
I
It'll be great.
I am very happy that you are here. And before we get started, I'd like to remind all of our listeners, we're not able to take calls today. So if you want to ask Kadrick a question, we are live on AM 950 radio, but also streaming video on the following Facebook pages. You can watch us on AM 950. Things Network, MN Ghostbox, Free Spirited, RU Media, Skeleton Key Network, and Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. So please go there, support these pages, but feel free to put any questions you have for Kadrick in it. I mean, the thing is, Kadrick, is that there's so much that you do that we're never going to cover it all. That's why before we got to this, one of the things that we decided, we worked out was, what are we going to talk about today? And the thing that you brought up was so important to me, because this is the same thing I've been saying for years as well, is, well, I'm going to let you say it because I want to let you have a word here, but it really resonates with me.
Absolutely. It's like what you were saying in the intro, and I love that, is the paranormal is a natural, normal, beautiful part of our existence. And unfortunately, over the years, it's kind of gotten a bad rap. It's gotten some different tellings of what it is. And so kind of the way I relate it is, let's say the paranormal is like this beautiful park down the street. It's always there. It's available. It's open for you. There are all sorts of creatures there, everything from squirrels running up and down the trees to bobcats running through to people taking a walk or a stroll or just kind of hanging out there. And if you go to the park and you admire the squirrel and you watch the squirrel and you're digging what's going on with the squirrel, then you're going to have a beautiful experience. But if you go up and you poke that squirrel and you say, "Hey, squirrel, what are you doing? Why are you here, squirrel?" and you start messing with a squirrel, well, that squirrel might bite back.
Yep.
And then you leave the park and you're going to go tell your friends, "Oh, no, there's this evil, mean squirrel in the park. Don't go there." And it's because of the experience that you created for yourself. And now all your friends are out there believing that the park is a scary, evil, awful place to go when it's just a beautiful place to coexist with.
So where do you think that all came from? Where do you put the blame, as it were, for lack of a better term, on the shows?
The shows, they do a wonderful job of entertainment.
Yeah.
They're kind of fun if we go to look at it as a scary thing. But yeah, some of that comes from the shows. Kind of sort of a personal thing that kind of came up related to that is I attended a seance run by a very good friend of mine who is on some of these shows, and I didn't realize it at the time. But I would watch these shows getting a little perturbed by them, going, "That's not how this works. Why are you doing this? Why are you making this so difficult?" And it would give me a headache to watch these shows going, "Oh, that's just not how it is." And I vented with my friend, and she's like, "Yeah, I know. It kind of drives me nuts too, but it's okay." And we had this great conversation about how it does help bring some of this awareness to the public that the paranormal is here, that it's everywhere, and it's good, and we're definitely appreciative of that. And it gives us the opportunity to come in and say, "Great, now that you've seen that and you've gotten that exposure and that curiosity, here's the next step to realizing what's really going on." So in some ways it's a headache, and in other ways it's a blessing.
It is. It is. And I'm sure you get this all the time, and I get this very much, is the idea of like when they find out what I do, being a paranormal investigator, that the first thing there is like, "Oh, that is so exciting. That's so thrilling." And I don't say that to rip on them, because I get it, and I appreciate that. But the thing is, it's like the thing I always tell them is like, just know, that sounds like what you want is a ride through the Haunted Mansion at Walt Disney World, opposed to what this could be if you're not careful, or also the idea of just communication with loved ones and stuff as well.
Exactly. That's why I tell people a lot of times the paranormal is actually pretty boring compared to what we see in the movies.
Mm.
Like when I lead seance and I teach people how to do seance, I'm like, if you do a seance right, it's kind of boring, because you get in contact with this loved one that you already know. They're transmitting for you that message that, hey, everything's okay, everything's good, here's what's going on. And it's a lot of the same message over and over, but you're not going to really get anything flying across the room or thumps on the wall. It could happen. It has happened.
Yep.
But for the most part, a seance is like this quiet, solemn, sacred event where it's just like, oh, now I feel really good again that we had this connection. And it's kind of boring to what you see in the movies.
It is, but at the and I'm preaching to the choir, so to speak. The idea of what you do, what I do, we reach out to people's loved ones, and what I get out of it, what I love seeing is that reaction when they might hear a voice that is familiar to them or something, and you cover that on so many levels with your experience. I can't imagine that it's not similar to being just a massive just really exciting to be able to be a part of that.
Oh, absolutely. It's so endearing to see people, validate that connection, because not only do they get confirmation that their loved one still exists, sometimes it brings healing. Like their loved one on the other side might need some healing, some help crossing over, or some recognition of something, or people on this side need that sense of closure. They get that healing. And then what's so awesome is that light goes on in people's minds going, wait a minute, if my loved ones still exist and they continue after their body's dead, then that means I will too. That means there's something more to all of this, that there is a more important place for me. And it's like this launching point to a much better coexistence in our world when people realize that the afterlife is real.
Yeah, no, and it is really it's so thrilling, so exciting. And the one question I get, and I'm curious about, like, if there's like a question that you always get. I mean, the question I often get from people is, I just want to know if they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
What do you get?
Yeah, that comes up quite a bit. Now, there's almost a difference between the commonality in questions. If I'm doing a group seance, 10, 20 or more people,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, can I contact so-and-so because I want to know that they're okay. But when we're doing like one-on-one sessions, or maybe there's just a couple here, like a married couple or siblings that are here, then it gets to be like, can you tell me what happened when they died? What was going on that moment? Because we don't have that sense of closure. It's like there's stories going on in the family. So they want more of a help understanding of what happened during the death process and what they can do to help. So it almost depends on the environment we're in.
Absolutely. You know what I'd like to do? Why don't we do this? I'm gonna change gears a little bit when we come back. Let's take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Kedrick Olson about taking the fear out of the paranormal, and also his journey as a spiritual leader. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950. Metaphysical means different things to different people, and the friendly and knowledgeable staff at Enchanted Boutique in Maplewood will assist you through your journey. You'll be welcomed with positive energy and amazed at the large selection and variety of crystals, locally crafted products, books, and so many other metaphysical supplies. Visit Enchanted Boutique's brand new expanded location in Maplewood at 1860 Beam Avenue across from Maplewood Mall. Everyone at Enchanted Boutique is ready to assist with your personal spiritual journey.
In a world teeming with boring sofas, one woman dared to ask for more.
Wait, it only comes in brown? But I'm so sick of brown sofas.
But there was an option.
I've had enough. It's time to visit a real design firm.
Habitation, where all things are possible and the perfect home interior is within your grasp.
It's perfect. I had no idea my living room could look this amazing.
Habitation Furnishing and Design, the perfect selection to create your exceptional home.
The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for fun. Your friends and your family will have a great time with the fantastic food like the pizzas, appetizers, burgers, entrees, and sandwiches, the best bowling in Minnesota, the wildly popular outdoor patio, great drink specials, all the big games on their numerous screens, and it's the perfect place for your next private event, even large gatherings for over 200. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for everyone aged 1 to 100. Come see for yourself. Have fun at the Park Tavern, Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park.
Hi, this is Laura. Listen to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Our individual health is connected to the health of each other and connected to the health of the earth. We know the problems with the dominant food system: climate change, deadening soils, nitrates in the water, factory farming, injustice, concentration of wealth. How do we both as individuals and as a community step up and support a living food system which honors the earth? Tune to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and remember to support your independent farmers.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
Hello, AM 950 listener. I know you. You take the news seriously. When you read the headlines these days, it makes you want to hang your head down and cry. Well, to hell with that. What you need is a laugh from the left. So do yourself a favor. Listen to Facepalm America with host Beowulf Rockland every Sunday night at 9.
Are you dreading Monday, hating life, and living for the weekends? It might be time for some life changes. Pamela Topjian is a board-certified hypnotherapist at hypnobreakthrough.com, and she can help. Consultations are always free, and you will also receive a complimentary sample session to try out. Get in touch on hypnobreakthrough.com or send a message on social media, HypnoBreakthrough or Pamela Marie Topjian. And, you know, as I say every week, I've done this with her. I've experienced it. We've done sessions. She's helped me. Please go there, check it out, have a conversation with her, and please don't forget to let her know that that you heard it through Ghostbox Radio or an AM 950. Now, welcome back to Ghostbox Radio with on AM 950. My name is Greg Bach, and thank you for joining us. Our guest today is Kedrick Olson, and to see all of his services that he offers and see what he's about, please go to Kedrick.com. And, you know, Kedrick, we've been talking about taking the fear out of the paranormal, but I wanted to ask you something. You know, you talked about seances and stuff, and I've gone to a seance with a known medium, and what she did reminds me of more what you call a gallery. And to me, you know, the seance, what I saw in movies and stuff, was always like sitting around a table holding hands, that sort of thing. What is a seance? What does a seance really look like?
It's different. There are all sorts of different ways of doing it, because seance is a French word that basically means sitting. So you're going for a sitting. And it can be, in fact, you know, a few people gathered around the table holding hands and asking for the spirits to be there. It can be people sitting in rows, just kind of listening to the medium at the front talk. And the way that I like to do it is kind of a mix of the two. I set up tables all around the room, and I stand at the front of the room, and all of those tables have Ouija boards and pendulums and dowsing rods available for everybody to use. And we start off the seance with it's just me. You know, we set sacred space. We do some meditation, which is everybody who does that seance does a form of that. I hope, at least I hope they are. And then we talk about opening the veil. And my discussion on opening the veil is a little bit weird because there is no veil. We live in a paranormal world. It's everywhere. And the veil is just us tuning in or tuning out of the paranormal. But I still like to use the metaphor of opening the veil or lifting the veil because it helps the people in the seance to tune their mind in, get there. And then I'll talk about what spirits are coming through. And I don't like the cold read part of it, which is, you know, somebody standing at the front of the room saying, oh, there's an uncle type person here that has the letter G and they want to give this. It still happens. It still happens with me, but I don't do names. So I can't give a name because that's one of the agreements I have with my guides and spirit facilitators, that we don't do names. But I'll give the communication comes through. There's somebody coming through. They kind of look like this. They have this sort of feel. They're wearing this or that. Does that resonate with anybody? And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And then we go on to the next one. Now, why I found that so valuable is because if it is for somebody in the room, we can connect and then we talk together. We go back and forth and we go a little bit deeper into the context of what's going on. That way it's not a cold read. That way we actually get the message through that needs to go through. Or if it's not somebody that's there, these sessions are training sessions the way I lead seance. I get everybody by the end of seance using the pendulums, using the dowsing rods, the boards, even automatic writing, so that they realize that they have these mediumship capabilities. But sometimes these other spirits come in that don't belong to anybody. They're part of the training exercise to help people learn how to do crossing over, how to communicate. Maybe it's a guide for somebody. So we welcome anybody and everybody that comes. And the cool thing is every seance I've gone to, totally different. There's so many different ways of doing it. And it's beautiful. It's amazing.
It sounds like it. So if I heard correctly, it sounds like that, you know, the people in attendance are taking an active role because they might be using a pendulum. They might have a board at their table. Am I hearing that correctly?
Exactly. Because the goal of seance for me is for everybody to realize that they're connected to the paranormal and that they have the ability. They don't have to rely on a medium to do it, that they can do it themselves.
That's it. That's really interesting because you always hear, especially it's funny in paranormal investigators. And I don't know if you run into this. It always feels like that some investigators will say almost as a badge of honor that they have absolutely no mediumship skills or intuitive skills whatsoever.
Do you ever? Unfortunate.
Well, you know, and because I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second.
I think it's their way of putting a buffer up, a way of protecting themselves. So, you know, not only do they have the veil closed, but they can actually even further close that veil so that they can go into maybe some of these scary places. But that's kind of the thing I teach investigators, though. And I've taught a few investigator teams some practical techniques because I've got a course, 2 different courses for paranormal investigators, so they can go to these scary places and get the data that they need and that have it clean data because they're doing their work themselves while staying protected, while interacting with the spirits there, so that when they hear something go bump or they see the apparition or whatnot goes on, they aren't running out of the room scared.
Yeah.
And part of that training is teaching people how to be their own K2 meter and their own spirit box.
Yeah.
So that they can use themselves and the equipment to get some dynamic data.
And that's always the thing, you know. I do a course, paranormal course with my friend Shar, who's also a gifted medium, and you know that's the one thing that we do try to drill into people is the whole idea of your body is the paranormal equipment. You know, this equipment to go in and the barometer. And although I am an equipment person, I do love the equipment, that there is a lot more to it than taking out the cool stuff from, you know, wherever you bought it from, that it all starts with yourself.
Exactly. And I kind of came about that sort of the opposite direction when I'm here in my office, and this is where I see clients, and I've got a lot of activity go on in here because that's the environment I set up.
Yep.
But I had a K2 meter next to me, and I'm just doing some mundane business work, and I suddenly noticed the K2 meter go off into the red, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And I reach out, and I feel there's nothing there. The K2 meter goes back down to the green. I'm like, okay. I get back to doing some work, and then it blinks off into the red. I'm like, okay, what's going on? I reach out, there's nothing. So I take a look around, and I'm going, what's going on here? And I realize my cell phone's a little too close to the K2 meter, and I'm like, trust myself before the meter, because I was right.
And that's always, I mean, that is the biggest letdown is when you realize that phone is right there. And we actually had that on Sunday. We did last Sunday. We were over at Melbourne Manor in Melbourne, Iowa, and we were doing a live from there. And it was just funny because the phone, the K2 just kept going off, and we're like, oh my God, this is great. And then it was like, well, the phone isn't as close as it normally would be, but I think going live, it radiates more out. And it was like, what a bummer.
Hey, we always got to debunk the mundane before we can finalize the paranormal discovery, right?
That's exactly what it is. That's such a good point. Maybe let's talk a little bit more about that when we get into our next segment. So let's take another break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Kedrick Olson about taking the fear out of the paranormal and also his journey as a spiritual leader. You are listening to Ghost Box Radio on AM 950.
I'm Candy Brothel, publisher of the Twin Cities edition of Natural Awakenings magazine and host of Green Tea Conversations, a new show for people who are on a journey to take responsibility for their health and play a more active role in their family's well-being. Join me every Sunday at 10 a.m. as I interview local experts who share the latest in natural holistic approaches in a fun and informative way. So grab a cup of tea and join the conversation as we awaken to natural health. Visit us at naturaltwincities.com.
The Native American Community Development Institutes Make Voting a Tradition is a culturally specific, year-round, multi-generational approach to increase voter turnout and civic engagement. The fundamental principle of MVAT is that Native Americans are more likely to become politically active when engaged by peers and family. MVAT has created partnerships with local, statewide, and national efforts to increase turnout in BIPOC and other traditionally low turnout groups. Go to NACDI.org, NACDI.org to learn more.
This is New Beginnings, hosted by award-winning broadcaster and speaker Freddie Bell.
Freddie, this generation of the baby boomers, people are living longer, so the baby boomers are taking care of elderly parents.
Let's talk about your health, and specifically, let's talk about Medicare. Our show features the concerns of America's 78 million baby boomers in employment, finance, health and nutrition, and even entertainment.
Join us for New Beginnings, Saturday mornings at 11, brought to you in part by Vision Loss Resources.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Connections Radio Show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Fitz, your host of Connections Radio Show, and together we'll make the connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
Have you been to Enchanted Boutique lately? First of all, for those in the Twin Cities, just know that this is a local metaphysical boutique, and they are located at 1860 Beam Avenue in Maplewood, Minnesota. And they just have some exciting new stuff going on there. You can go there 7 days during the week and something different is going to happen. For example, you show up tomorrow, it's going to be Make It Monday, which is make and take projects. Tuesday is Tumbled Tuesday, Tumbled Crystal Sale. Wednesday is Woo Wednesday, Divination Sale. Trinket Thursday for jewelry. Folk Magic Friday, that's Witchy Sale. You have Enchanted Saturday, go to their site to see more about that. And then, of course, Sunday is Self-Love Sunday, Bath and Body Sale. You know, there is a lot of great things happening there. There's going to be some more events that they're putting together. We're going to have them back on the show. They're going to tell us everything that's going on. Once again, folks, please support the local business. Please go and support Enchanted Boutique. Once again, 1860 Beam Avenue, Maplewood, Minnesota. And also, if you don't want to go to the physical store, which is big and beautiful, you can definitely go online, and that's for people out of state as well. Don't forget, you can go to Facebook, Enchanted Boutique MN, or to their website, enchantedboutiquemn.com, and go see what you can get. You can see what services are being offered, as well as you can buy some products there as well. They're always bringing new stuff in, so please go and check them out. Now, I also wanted to thank everyone. We haven't had a chance to do so. For any of you who turned up at Billy's Bar and Grill in Anoka, Minnesota for October's Ghost Stories and Beyond. The room was packed, first of all. Thank you all very much. Thank you to the staff at Billy's who took care of everybody, did not get in anyone's way. We had a lot of presentation going on. The next one is going to be November 2nd, and that's at 6:30 p.m. I know we're not even in November yet, and we haven't even done Halloween yet, but please put it on your calendar. We'll be talking more about it. It's open mic night where everyone can tell their story, and it's just right off of Halloween, so maybe there'll be some really cool stuff there. It's $10 to join in. Does not include food, but once again, that's November 2nd over at Billy's Bar and Grill in Anoka for Ghost Stories and Beyond. Also, if you miss Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken Live, AM 950 replays these episodes Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, or you can listen anytime by going to Spotify or iTunes. After listening, please leave a positive review for my show. I would greatly appreciate it. Our guest today is Kedrick Olson, and to see all of his services and all the wonderful things he's offers, please go to Kedrick.com. And while I've been talking about a lot of places that are offering services and stuff, what are you offering over at the website? What's going on over there?
Oh, thank you for asking. Yeah, definitely. Like if someone were to click on the services tab, they can schedule a one-on-one meeting. We can do, like a 45-minute spiritual guidance session, or we can do like an hour-and-a-half spirit reading where we open those veils and we connect with spirits and guides, and we get some deeper connections. And the cool thing is in all of these one-on-one sessions, every client walks away with some homework to work on and to develop their abilities and work on the things that's going on in their life. In addition, I've got online training courses where you can take everything from getting to know what your spiritual neighbors are to developing your abilities. I just launched a 5-week seance certification course so that you can learn how to do seances. And I've got a really powerful and effective shadow working course where we work one-on-one and you get videos so we can go to those deep, dark places of the psyche and soul and clear those blocks, clear those beliefs out of there, and start making the world a much better place for you. Those are primarily the two things: one-on-one sessions and online courses. And I teach classes here and there, and the best way to do that is hop on the mailing list to take the paranormal awareness test, and you can be in the loop on when classes are popping up.
you know, the theme that I get from talking with you is the idea of, you know, you're not just going to allow people to come in, either get a reading or do whatever and walk out. The theme I'm picking up here is that you want them to leave with some knowledge and some skill set to some degree, or at least to have them think about how they can grow in these areas.
Absolutely. I don't sell magic feathers. And what I mean by that is there's work involved. You know, there's a little bit of effort that the clients will do themselves so that they can learn how to do this stuff, and they're self-empowered with it, and they can move on and don't realize that they are the source of their own happiness. And I just help facilitate. I just help find that for them. But everyone gets to work. Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing too. I mean, this is, there are certain people that will go to mediums, for example, and it's kind of like, especially if they do it like at a metaphysical fair or something, and it's kind of like what we talked about, the paranormal early on, that it's like they're expecting like the Haunted Mansion or in this, or just, you know, they're not taking it as deep as it can be. But this is going to you and going to people like Shar. This is where you are like, this is a serious level. You know, this is where you need to be able to kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, become almost one with yourself and be able to understand yourself a little bit more. And this is maybe what you help do.
Exactly. Because we all were born with these abilities. We all have these mediumship abilities, but something gets in the way over the years to block them. And it's usually the same kind of things over and over for everybody, but everybody has a unique take on it. And once we get to that inner source, once we get to what that is, and it's like, great, let's work with that. Like for somebody who wants to learn how to do seance, they might get into it and they're like, wait, why is this not working? Why can't we get there? Well, we'll do some one-on-one time. We're like, oh, here's what it is. And here's some things that you can work on to do this and that and that and this, or changing expectations, because that gets in the way. People think seance has to be this, communication has to be like that, and this was has to go on. And we work to resolve those expectations and be open to what comes. And then suddenly they're, oh, this is what it's really like. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the cool thing about it, opening people's minds and be able to help them. And I would assume within that, you are doing exactly what we talked about early on, is that you are taking the fear out of the paranormal, out of even the metaphysical, if you will, because I mean, I think any type of communication with those who have passed is a scary thing for a lot of people.
Exactly. And in fact, one of the best ways I've helped people to eliminate that fear is what I call the compassion shift. Mm-hmm. It's something I've learned over the years and developed. And it starts off with, okay, there's something spooky in the house, something moved, I hear the thump or I get the creepo feeling. And our immediate reaction is to go to a fear state, like, oh no, what are you going to do to me? Instead, take a breath, kind of center yourself. And instead of, oh no, what are you going to do to me? Go, oh, are you somebody who needs help? Yes. Is there a way I can help you? That changes the entire dynamic of the interaction. That drops the fear. And suddenly people realize, they go, oh, I actually have control over my house. I have control over this situation that is connecting to me. And now I can have a completely different interaction with this.
No, that's exactly it. It's really comforting to hear that, because, you know, especially this time of year, and this is why we wanted to talk about it this time of year, you know, where everyone's on full throttle of, you know, the scary factor. And it's a tight line, I think, Hedrick, that between, I mean, this is a time of year to get a little, you know, have a little safe scare and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And that's, you know, that's what this time of year is all about. But at the same time, it's also, you know, trying to kind of keep that in check, I guess, a little bit. And, you know, being able to have that balance of explaining why this is really, there shouldn't be, to everything there's something scary, but it doesn't mean that is the baseline for what we do.
Absolutely. And I have to admit, I love this time of year. I love when the fall changes. And here in Colorado, it's an actual real autumn season.
Nice. I
love it. I love the spooky time of the year.
Yep.
And even though I still kind of roll my eyes at these movies, I love horror movies. I not only love to watch them to get an idea of what's going out to the public about what the paranormal is, but I have fun with it too. I get, that like spooked out, creepy stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's fun. And I don't know. I just love it too.
So, because we talk about some concepts and, I'm going to be honest, there's stuff that I am not fully familiar with. I understand, but I think talking with you about it is a better route than me just pretending I know. So like the idea of, when we say shadow work, what does that mean?
Shadow work is a Jungian term that I think is beautiful because it means that we have something in the psyche and the soul that is hidden away from us. They could be the beliefs that we have, the deep, dark feelings that we have, things that we think about ourselves, our place in the world, even our paranormal connections and our paranormal interactions. The belief that this stuff is evil, that if there's something in the room, it's not my loved one, it's a demon. All of these things are shadows that are embedded within us. We project them out into the world going, "Ooh, I can't stand this person. I can't stand this. I'll never be able to do that." And so with shadow work, it's kind of the opposite of light work. Where light work, we go in, we feel good about it, we make things happy, we bring this higher energy in, which is great. But with shadow work, we're like, okay, let's go into this deep, dark place. Why are you angry about this stuff?
Yeah.
What's causing you to feel anger? And it's okay to feel that anger. We're going to build up that anger energy. We're going to go into it. We're going to explore where it came from, what it does for you, how it helps you. We're going to really befriend that anger, because then it teaches you something amazing and wonderful about yourself and how that anger helped you. And now you don't have to hold on to that anger. You can now let that go and do something different. And we work on to the next thing. And I found people who are having negative paranormal interactions, their home, their life, that sort of thing, when we do this shadow work, it clears attachments, it clears the negative energy, it clears the negative paranormal activity and repercussions that go on. And now they're having beautiful experiences with guides, and there's no problems anymore. And it's because of these things that are deeply embedded into the psyche and soul that are hidden. We're shedding light onto them, getting to know them, getting to be friends with them, and then letting them go and integrate the lessons that they have for us.
So in a sense, and maybe I'm being too cisse about it, is your shadow work, you're kind of facing some fears there, aren't you? I mean, it may not be fears like, oh, I'm afraid of drowning, therefore I don't like water, but it's more like, I know there's certain things that trigger me. And why is it triggering me? Why is this happening? Why do I feel this way when I hear, I think of somebody or something like that?
That's exactly it. And I take it from the perspective that it's your soul, your higher being trying to be alive in this world, to live its purpose. But when we are having those triggers, it's preventing the soul from doing its thing. It's preventing you from being an authentic person. And so we go figure out what those triggers are so you can find out what's really going on underneath and who you really are.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I could see why that would be very powerful, actually. What kind of change do you see in a person once they go through that with you, when they work with you on that?
Oh, it's fascinating. It's everything from their outlook at the world, which is something that, of course it happens, but I've seen, haunted houses that were scary, spooky, stop being scary, spooky, that they're now having a comfortable existence. Some of the stuff that blows my mind, I fully admit I don't understand the mechanism of how this works, but I've had people whose businesses, they've owned a business that have, like, their profits have gone up dramatically while they're doing this. I've had people who they're comfortable in their job, but as they're doing their normal day-to-day job, they're doing this work, suddenly they're getting offers for higher level positions from other companies that they're uncomfortable with this position because they're like, wow, I didn't think of myself as like a CFO, but now they're offering me a CFO job. And I know these are kind of extreme cases,
sure,
but I've actually seen that kind of turnaround. I've had people just suddenly go, oh, this is what my life is supposed to be. All of this stuff. Now suddenly I know why those relationships weren't working, why this job sucked. And they've taken the steps to change everything. And yes, it was hard because they walked away from a life that they thought was perfect for them, but they started building this much better life. And they got back to me like a year or two later going, I can't believe it. Why didn't I do this earlier? And it's just like, yeah, It's beautiful stuff.
That's great. Why don't we do this? Let's take our last break. When we come back, we're going to finish our conversation with Kedrick Olson, talking about taking the fear out of the paranormal and also his journey as a spiritual leader. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950. Metaphysical means different things to different people, and Enchanted Boutique in Maplewood has classes and workshops for any skill level, whether you're beginner or new to the metaphysical. Enchanted Boutique's friendly instructors bring positive energy and years of experience in all the metaphysical realms. Workshops include energy healing, various divination techniques, crystals, and much more. Plus, Enchanted Boutique has lots of products that can supplement what you learn at their newly expanded retail location in Maplewood. Find the class schedule and book your own session at enchantedboutiquemn.com.
Hi, my name is Pamela Topchian. I'm a former nurse, published author, and board-certified hypnotherapist with hypnobreakthrough.com. Do you feel stuck in a rut? Finding yourself wondering if this is all there is to life? Tired of just existing? Hypno Breakthrough can help you to reduce stress, release fears, gain confidence, and reach your life's goals holistically, mindfully, and gently. So I ask you, what changes would you like to see in your life? Let's talk about it. Contact me, Pamela Topchian, board-certified hypnotherapist, to schedule your free consultation, which includes a complimentary stress-reducing sample session, so you can see how it feels for yourself before any commitments are made. Go to hypnobreakthrough.com for all the information. That's hypnobreakthrough.com.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad from the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I sell Choice Hard Seltzer. Choice is an all-natural, 105-calorie grapefruit-flavored hard seltzer for those who believe that a woman's reproductive decisions should remain a private matter between her and her doctor. When you purchase Choice Hard Seltzer, 5% of the proceeds go to support reproductive rights organizations in Minnesota.
Drink progressively with Minocqua Brewing. Get Choice Hard Seltzer at Zips Liquors on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis and Top 10 Liquors in Chanhassen. Find other Twin Cities locations at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
Hi, Matt McNeil for Rudy Luther Toyota. You know, I've purchased my vehicles with Rudy Luther because I love my Toyota Sienna, but it's the extra things that make me a loyal Rudy Luther customer. A great example, the Luther Advantage Card. With every new and used vehicle purchase, you'll get 3 years of 10 cents off per gallon of gas at Holiday Station stores and $6 off the Works car washes. Plus, there are other great benefits too. The Luther Advantage Card keeps you happy in your Rudy Luther vehicle. Find out more at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Hello, this is Ellie Krug with Ellie 2.0 Radio. Now my show will be on Saturdays from 10 to 11 and replayed on Sundays from 1 to 2. You will get to the best of Ellie 2.0 with talking about idealism with guests who come in and who are idealistic, who are trying to change the world. And you will get me, Super Idealist. Tune in. We can't wait to hear from you. And you'll hear from me Saturdays from 10 to 11.
So, Adam, I just had a thunk here over here. And I'm
What's that going to cost us?
You know, it's going to be good. I guarantee it. So I thought, you know, as I'm getting closer to Halloween, and we have, I think our Halloween show would be on the 30th of October.
Yes.
You know, I'm trying to get Bloody Mary for that. And she's you know, she's busy. I mean, it's a busy time of year. I'm lucky I got Kedrick, to be very honest. But I'm thinking I'm going to ask folks listening if you'd like to do an audio recording of a ghost story, of a ghost encounter that you've had. And, you know, if we get enough or even a couple, I'll do one of my paranormal chat shows where it's just me talking. But if we have any stories that people record on audio, send them to me. And then, you know, of course, we'll listen to them first. Make sure you people are clean. First of all, you know, we do have FCC rules over here. And then maybe play some during some of these shows. You know, we'll see how that works.
I like that. I've got a few of myself. I wouldn't mind getting off my chest.
Well, then we'll do that, and we'll talk about that and see how that works. So, folks, send it to me. Send it to Greg at ghostboxradio.com. That's Greg at ghostboxradio.com. Send me. Don't make it long, folks. I don't want to hear. You know, just self-edit. That's fine. Or we'll edit for you. Don't keep it clean. Also, no swearing. No, none of that. But we'll just, let's have some fun with it. So reach out to me if you have any questions. For our final segment, we return to our guest. Our guest today is Kadrick Olson. We've been talking about all of these things, Kadrick, that you're doing, really, really impressive. And I'm going through your site right now. It's kadrick.com, and that's KAEDRICH.com. Go and please check out all of the services, everything that he's doing. You look at the top, I see training services, meditation, runes, Paraprotect, Shadow Ascension, and these are things that we got to talk about in other shows because there's just too much, and we only have about 4.5 minutes left. So because it's Halloween, because we're talking about all this stuff, do you have any advice for people who haven't taken anything from anybody, and they're maybe a paranormal investigator or something? They go into a location and they perceive it as dark, scary, whatever else. What would you recommend to people to not jump to conclusions, perhaps?
When that really spooky weirdo thing happens, I want you to laugh and have fun with it. Have like a sense of awe and wonder. Because if it is a negative entity and it's going to try to poke at you with that fear or that other stuff, if you're laughing and you're having a good time, you are acknowledging it's a real thing, but it's feeding it back like the opposite energy, so it can't influence you. It can't mess with you. And the harder it wants to push, laugh and have a great time. Like you see the dark apparition pop up, go, wow, that's really cool. At the same time, if maybe you're misinterpreting it and you're seeing a person or a positive spirit and you're having a good time, it's going to strengthen your connection and help you have a much better experience. So I recommend laughing and having a good time with it. It'll change the entire dynamic of the experience.
And I suppose to take even a step back, that you got to go into these things also not want, I think some people want to go into these investigations like, I can't wait to see what scary stuff is there. I can't wait to, I've heard about this place. Like I was just at the Villisca Axe murder house. Everyone always talks about how dark it is, or Bobby Mackey's. They talk about how dark that is. When I went to Bobby Mackey's, it wasn't dark at all. I didn't have an issue with it. It's all about that intention too, isn't it?
Absolutely. Let go of expectations. Because if you go in thinking it's going to be a scary, spooky, weirdo time, you may be disappointed because that's not going to happen, or you may be feeding it and then you're going to have a bad time. But if you go into it with open-minded, clear of expectations, it's going to surprise you, and it could be amazing and wonderful that way.
Yeah, no, I mean that seems like a great way to go. Now, say that there's people listening. I mean, let's say that. I hope, but let's just say that there's people listening for the sake of the station staying on the air, and also for this scenario I have of they're like, this sounds great. Kadrick sounds great. They look at your site. I know that it's like, well, it depends on what they're looking for, but if they're just not really sure where they want to start, what do you recommend to them?
Check out my YouTube videos. That's always a good place to go because it'll give you some more insight. Book a 45-minute session with me, and we can talk about it and get together. Or if you want a course, the Great Intro Beginner course is getting to know your spiritual neighbors, which is basically astral entities, subtle beings. Suddenly the name is escaping me. Your field guide to subtle beings and astral entities. That's what it's called. Check out that course because it'll give you a good intro to what kind of spirits are out there, what they're doing, and how they interact with you.
Yeah, no, I mean, and there's just so much on here that you could look through and stuff. I mean, what is there a favorite for you that you just love to do? That it gives you the best sort of either inspiration or it gives you the best feeling of accomplishment working with people?
Definitely the Shadow Ascension is amazing stuff, and I'm very proud of that seance course that I just launched, and I'll kind of tout it a bit. When I've looked for other seance courses online, they're only like maybe an hour and a half. I've got like over 40 videos, I think 48 videos on there. Like I think it's 7 hours worth of content that's available. So we go through everything. It's comprehensive.
That sounds great. That sounds really cool. And for those listening, once again, Kadrick.com, KAEDRICH.com. definitely go check it out. Now, as Halloween is approaching, and we have about maybe 40 seconds left, what are you doing for Halloween? What do you do? What do you do if you're super paranormal and you're seeing things from so many sides? What does Kadrick do on Halloween?
I do a bit of a deep Black Mirror ritual. The Black Mirror is my favorite tool for working with seance, so I can go deeper. I can work with higher level beings and integrate the energy. So I'll be having some candles and a Black Mirror and some little bit creepy music, but that makes it fun.
There is something about that as an investigator. You it's like you have the right to be creepy once in a while, don't you? I mean, and working out, that's what's fun about it. You kind of play the role, don't you?
Absolutely, it's fun.
It is fun. Kadrick Olson is an author, speaker, teacher, and he says, he's a paranormal expert with over 30 years of experience guiding people through their supernatural and spiritual concerns. You can see more of what he does. We've been talking about his site. Go to kadrick.com, KAEDRICH.com. Kadrick, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this talk with you. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. This is Ghostbox Radio. We'll be back next week. Take care.
No matter if you're eating out or cooking something at home,